Hey folks, it's been a while since I did a pickup videos, and as you're about to see, we've got quite a few pickups to go through. Not only that, but some of these pickups I didn't even buy. A friend of mine that I like to reference every so often gave me a few games for my birthday, because I'm now a year older, and that's as far as I'm going to go on that particular subject matter. I'll point out which games he got me for my birthday and that sort of thing. But in the meantime, let's look at some of the other stuff that I have managed to acquire over the past few whatever. Okay, so first up, a couple of Atari 2600 video games. We have Moon Patrol. It is Moon Patrol. And the other, Sequest. Has nothing to do with the game from the 90s because that show wasn't conceived yet. And that does it for Atari. Next up, let's go through a bunch of Game Boy games. First up, we have Mortal Kombat. This is the greatest version of Mortal Kombat ever made. Anyone who says otherwise is a bloody liar. This is the greatest version of Mortal Kombat ever made. Trust me, I know. Okay, maybe not. Well, I couldn't get my hands on Mortal Kombat 2. I did get Mortal Kombat 3. Whatever. I didn't like the full version all that much. So, of course, I had to get the Game Boy version. Next up, we have Tetris Attack, which some of you might know this game as Puzzle League or Puzzle Challenge, or that puzzle game that is not Tetris. But it does have Super Game Boy functionality, so that's a win for me. Next up is one of the games that my buddy got for me birthday, and that's Kirby's Dream Land 2 for the Game Boy. Now technically I already have this game. It's part of the Kirby Dream Collection for the Nintendo Wii. However, this version has the Super Game Boy functionality that the Dream Collection is lacking, and I really wanted to check that out. And it might make for decent review material, I suppose. Next up for the Game Boy, we have F1 Race. I think the only reason why I picked this one up was because I played the Famicom version. Curious to see how this translates. Whether it plays the same way or not, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Who cares? Okay, next up for the Game Boy Color, we have Game & Watch Gallery 2. I already had Game & Watch Gallery 1 for the Game Boy. This is for the Game Boy Color. It's a black cartridge, which means it'll work on both your classic Game Boy and your Game Boy Color and that sort of thing. And the last game for the Game Boy Color, we have Conker's Pocket Tales, which I got for a fairly, I think I got it for about $10, more or less. I haven't tried it yet, but apparently it's nowhere near as vulgar as the Conker's Bad Fur Day, the one, I don't know, or whatever it's called, the one on N64. Excuse me. That one I want to get my hands on, but apparently it's really, really expensive or something, I don't know. Anyways, next up, a few Genesis games. Sunset Riders for the Genesis, which I didn't know they made. I know this was on the Super Nintendo, but I didn't know they made one for the Genesis, so that's going to be loads of fun. Sword of Vermilion, also for the Genesis. Comic Zone, kind of an interesting little game there. And here's a couple games that my friend got me. World of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. Apparently this is a sequel to Castle of Illusion. I assume this because it says of illusion in the title, and a world is bigger than a castle, I guess. And this one's kind of an interesting little beast here. Someone had the bright idea to put custom cover label on it. It's Bare Knuckle 3, the Japanese version of Streets of Rage 3. The funny thing was that he only gave me the cartridge, but when my friend bought this originally, it came in a plastic box, and it had like a Streets of Rage 3 cover. But when he opened it up, it had this. And it is Bare Knuckle 3, it's not Streets of Rage 3, it's the Japanese one. I haven't tested it on my Genesis, but it does work with the retro gen thing that I have for the Super Nintendo. So for what's at work, it works, I guess. I suppose that last minute of exposition is entirely worthless. Okay, next up we have Clockwork Knight for the Sega Saturn. Loads of fun there. Midnight Club LA Remix for the PSP. I figured I'd give that a shot because I enjoyed Midnight Club 3 for the Xbox, the original Xbox way back when. Finally, a couple more games that my friend got me. Cycross for the NES, which answers a question that I had. And I've seen this on multi-carts. I never knew this had its own individual NES release. I figured it was like a Japanese only game, but go figure. And finally, the one game that he got me that I wanted to get for a while now, and I could finally strike off that bucket list of game collecting stuff. Dragon Warrior 3, which I've never played. I have the first two Dragon Warriors. I dabbled a bit of Dragon Warrior 4 back in the day when it was available for rental, but I never played Dragon Warrior 3, so this is going to be a nice little trip. Nothing else. Would like to get my hands on 4, but apparently, you know, these things, especially 3, 4, are relatively expensive and hard to find, I guess, for a relatively decent price. So yeah, that's my lot, and that's it. I'm gonna get something to drink because my throat's starting to fill up now. Anyways, yeah, take care. Good night.